So now working our way down the list of options that we can customize in our scatter plot here, we're down to the horizontal and the vertical axes. So pretty much what we customize, what we configure for the horizontal axis, mostly will be the same for the vertical axis. So let's look at these horizontal axis options. So that's going to be here. And you'll notice we still have the original numbers and how small they are from when we started. So we're going to change that. So let's click on horizontal axis, and I'm going to scroll down to better show these options. So under the label font, we'll leave it at theme default. Now the font size. Now remember, the font size of the axis title was 20. So let's make this a little bit smaller, and we'll use 18. Okay, so that made it better. And let's have it show up a little stronger. So we'll make that bold. And let's make sure that the color is black. Now here with minimum and maximum, what that means is, what's the minimum value on the horizontal axis we want? It's this. And what's the maximum value on the axis that we want? Now, having 0 on an axis is a really good thing. It kind of gives you a sense of reference or context for your data. Mine already came up with a 0. So, I could just put 0 here if I wanted to make sure it stays locked in. But under maximum, I'm going to want to change that, because this data point, that's the rightmost data point. Okay, it's being cut off at the top, but it's awfully close to the edge of the plot area here. So if I wanted to kind of buffet that a little, I could maybe make the axis go a little bit further past 400 or 420. Let's make it 450. Okay, so you can see now that I typed 450, the length of this horizontal axis now goes to 450, and that's given me a little bit more breathing room, a little more of a gap from this rightmost data point and the edge of the plot area. And I want to uncheck this box, which says allow bounds to hide data. I don't want data to be hidden just because it's intersecting the edge of the plot area. So let's uncheck that. Okay, let's look at some of these other options here. So we've got scale factor. So this is if, instead of being like numbered by 1, you could actually have it scaled by 100s or thousands or millions, but we're just going to leave it at its default. We're not dealing with a log scale here, so we won't check that. Slant labels, what that means is, and we'll set this to auto, is that right now these labels are oriented horizontally. If we were to add more tick marks here and it wanted to squeeze in more numbers across the axes, it will actually start orienting them at an angle, like a 45-degree angle or slant, or it might orient them up and down or vertically to make them fit. So setting this to auto, it'll kind of do it for you. And number format from source, that's just if you wanted to change the way these are shown, but we don't need to change that for our scatter plot. Okay, so those are all the options that we need to change here for the horizontal axis. So let's make the same changes now from the horizontal axis. Let's do it to the vertical axis. So the font, it will be the theme default. The font size, again, was 18. We'll make it bold. Text color, black. And there's this new option, which I would select. It says show axis line. So we want to make the axis lines, as bold as we can make them. And Google Sheets does not give us a lot of control over that natively. And this is kind of the best we can do. So go ahead and just check this box that says show axis line. Okay, and we have a minimum and maximum field, which relates to the minimum value here and the maximum value here. So the minimum value, we want to set at 0. But the maximum value, we want to reset, because a maximum value of 400 is cutting this rightmost data point off. So if we change that also to 450, now the vertical axis is scaled from 0 to 450, and with 450 as a maximum value, it gives us a gap between our rightmost data point and this axis. So by setting the horizontal axis maximum to 450 and the vertical axis maximum to 450, we've now kind of created a gap or some cushion around this rightmost data point and the edge of our plot area. We will uncheck, allow bounds to hide data. We don't need a scale factor. We don't need a log scale. And we don't need to change the number format. So that is all we need to do to format the horizontal and the vertical axes.